The theme of today is transformations, and the reason that we put it on is that a lot of the feedback that we've had is from people getting to a certain point in their business with doTERRA where they're feeling maybe like they're a little stuck, and it's come to our attention that maybe we need to do some work around trying to transform that, the belief, I guess, that we have. And our belief isn't always, we don't see ourselves as our best self. Who has thought at some point in their life, by show of hands, that you're destined for something greater? Look around, I think it's just about every one of us. We're destined for something greater, we are, you know. Who feels like they're living it or on their path to it right now? You know? Less, yeah. And then let's take out the on the path part and who's living it today? Who's yeah, see, look at the difference there. One or two, right? So not many of us. And that's what we want to work with you today on addressing, because it's something that we really can. I remember, some of you who know us well, know some of my background, but I come from a very poor farming family in New York. And when I say poor, it was actually owned by my grandfather. So my father didn't get paid to work the farm. It was just kind of, a place to live, and you worked, which is what a lot of farming, families were like. And so my dad shore sheep for 22 years to make ends meet to, for the family, as well as worked on the farm. And he would routinely leave by 6 in the morning and get back at 5 or 6 at night. But he would never come to the house. He'd drive straight past the house to the shed, then get on the tractor and then go feed sheep for a few hours, because my grandfather lived in town and we lived on the farm. So it was a hard life, I guess, for him as far as the amount of work that he did. But it was also a very difficult life with 4 young children. 2 of us were very sick with asthma. I was allergic to wheat and dust mites, and we lived on a wheat so as my last one, I found that pretty bloody comical that we stayed out there for as long as we did. But anyway, for all of its lack in terms of physical abundance or money or all those sorts of things, it was actually a great life. I remember it really, really fondly. But I listened to my mum and my dad sometimes talk about it, where my dad's a pretty proud guy. He's very quiet, but he's a very proud guy. And we were that broke that back when food stamps actually still existed, the stamps that you could go to whatever the Centrelink was called back then, my uncle made my dad, grabbed him by basically struck the neck and said, "Come on, I'll kick you down for it." So, and that's what it was like, the upbringing. I never had a new pair of shoes when I was young. I never had clothes that fitted me because they always came from a cousin or something like that. I still remember, I feel like Ronald McDonald with these shoes. They're about like that, but they're much too big. And so I never felt that confident about myself if we were going out or going to a family do or whatever. It just didn't feel like I was, presenting myself the best way I could, I guess. And I was 11 years old. I remember it distinctly, the day still, where I just come to the stage where I thought to myself, I'm sick of this. I am not going to live like this. When I'm older, I'm going to have something different, And I started working around, and we had no money. So I was doing things like raking the house yard, but the house yard was 1.5 acres. So, because we're on a farm. And we had lots of fruit trees. We had fig trees and all sorts of trees that, grapevines and stuff that made a lot of mess. So I would rake the house yard for 10 cents. It took me like a day and a half, and there was all the wind blowing around us. So, but so I would do these things, and then I found a way that I could make some money, because I used to go into town once a week to do my swimming, because I had to do swimming because I was a bad asthmatic, and they wanted me to improve my lung capacity. And I discovered that people in town like sheep manure for their roses, and that was something that we had an abundance of. So I used to climb underneath the shed. So have you ever been to a shearing shed?
Yeah.
Most of you would have been, right? You've got the graded floor, but ours is about that far off the ground. So I was climbing in there, and it's easy at the start because it's right by the edge. But then once you've gone through that, you've got to go further. So this is, really, well, they say there is money in shit, right? So truly there is, because I was in there and I was harvesting this stuff, and we had one of those ancient old Kingswood station wagons where you open the thing at the back and you wind it down to the back when you down. Okay, you remember, right? Yeah. So we used to drive into swimming club on a Saturday morning, and I used to load a few bags of this in the back of the station wagon before we set off. And Mum was like, what the hell? What are we doing, right? Anyway, but we were literally, you know, the car stunk like shit. So we would drive with the back window open, you know, of course. But so we'd get in there and we'd do swimming club, and then after swimming club I would just walk around the local streets and ask if anybody wanted this. And then I'd work out who wanted it, and then $5 a bag, and then, you know, we would, Mum would then drive us around before we went back out to the farm, dropping it all off to everyone. The reason I'm telling you all this is because there was a moment, and I remember it when I was 11, and I just said, this is enough. I'm never going to live like this. You know, I want more abundance in my life than this, you know, and I'm prepared to. So I started taking the risk, I guess, and doing the work without yet getting any of the benefit. Okay? Because in business, and I was in business for myself when I was 11, apparently. But you've got to do the work. You've got to, you know, you've got to outlay the time, the effort, the energy, and do all the groundwork and the legwork, and you haven't anything back yet. Welcome to the real world, you know. But that's the same in any business, not just this one. They're all the same. Some do better than others, but essentially you've got to start putting the pedal to the metal before you actually see anything come back to you. So that's what I wanted to help you understand and realise today, that at some point for you, if you're feeling like I'm destined for something better, but you're not experiencing it, a line in the sand has to happen somewhere. You know, if you really want to take that chance. Who feels like they've reached a certain amount of years in this lifetime and wondering, privately, silently sometimes, is the best of me behind me? Is there enough time left to get to that significant place of making a real difference, or what I was destined for is something better? See a few hands go. It's real, right? And some of the other ones that hands didn't go up, probably lying to yourself. But I feel that even now, I think to myself, okay, 39 years old, you know, I am 1/3 of the way through my chosen life expectancy. And I always believed when I was young that I would live to 120, happy and healthy of mind and body, until I choose that I'm done. And that was the way I always thought about it, and it hasn't changed. In fact, I'm only starting to reevaluate it now because we're all living longer, so maybe I push it out a bit further. Yeah. But I hear a lot of people that are in their 60s and 70s, and they actually say, oh, I wouldn't want to live to 100. Sorry? It's because they don't feel good, right? You know, and life's a bit hard maybe, and they don't feel like there's anything out there for them, you know. They don't feel like they can make a difference or get a difference for themselves in their life. So, you know, when I hear that, and some of the people that get close to us say that, I think to myself, you know, it's like you've given up already, and there's a lot of time left. You know, my dad's 73 years old, he lives with us, and I talk to him, you know, every day, because we're working on the house together and, you know, finishing things together. And he started to say things for the very first time in his life, like, basically, don't know how long I'll have to do these kinds of things. And he comes from a family where everyone lives to be 100, actually. Yeah. So I said, mate, you've got 27 years left to get to the point where your mum and everyone else got to. I said, you can do a lot in 27 years, right? You know? Look at what Vanessa has been able to accomplish in 2.5 to 3 years with doTERRA, right? So if you want to, you can. But that's what I want to try and work with you on today, and what I wanted to talk to you about is that line in the sand, or the burning of the ships. Who's heard that story of burning the ships? Anyone heard that? A few? It's a pretty ancient story going back in history quite a long time, but it's about a captain of a ship who was there to overtake or to take over this land at this beach. Okay? So he gets all the longboats out, and they get out onto the beach with all of his soldiers there, and then up on top of the dunes, this massive army appears, and they're outnumbered, whatever the number was, 10 to 1 or something stupid. And the lieutenant goes, back to the ships, because, you know, they're not going to survive, right? And the leader goes, no, burn the ships. So he sent the guys back, and they burned their ships. But then it was fight or die, right? You know, but they won. They overcame enormous obstacle. You know, something that really should not have been capable or possible for this small group of people. But they did it. Now, I'm not suggesting we have to go and burn things and kill everybody, but you know, apart from the guys that on the wrong end of Operation Underground Railroad, they might have a place for that. But it really is that time for you guys to choose. And today we wanted to give you that opportunity to start thinking like that and going, okay, where's my line in the sand? You know, Because a lot of us, we try and do these things like doTERRA and lots of things in life. You know, who's had something they've tried in life that they thought they really wanted to do, but they didn't finish it, they didn't pursue it, right? All of us, right? Okay? Everyone's done it. And a lot of the time it's because we've kind of got one foot in this camp and we've got one foot in this camp, right? And we're wondering, you know, we're wanting this new camp to work out for us enough for us to go like this. The problem is that when we only have one foot over here, we're never committed enough for it to actually get the momentum it needs to go. It never happens. You know, and I use this story often, but my father said to me when I was young, and we come from a farming family, but we never had horses, so I don't know why he said this, but he did tell me, he said, son, you can't ride two horses with one backside. Right? But when you think about it, it's a very simple analogy, but some of the best wisdom I've ever had, and I've had great teachers luckily from an early age, but a couple of good bits of wisdom come from my dad, and they're just really simple things like that, and I think about that all the time, because what that tells me is, I can't give all of myself to two different things and expect to get both of them to the same level of success. When you divide your effort, you know, that's why when I see people trying to do doTERRA and they also say, oh, I'm taking on this new thing as well, I think to myself, good luck. You know, it's going to be really hard to get the ultimate level of success in both of them at the same time, you know, because you're just dividing your energy, you're dividing your focus. And what you want, if you want to achieve that success in your life, is that laser-like focus. You know, you need to be really, really on it and knowing where you're going with it. Yeah, that's why we talk about having your why and your goals and all those kind of things. And we're going to go into a little bit deeper with that, or Vanessa is, you know, afterwards for you. So recently, we've been watching some of our new teachers, or our old teachers really, and this guy is one of them. I first started listening to Tony Robbins, I was 18 years old. And even before that, my only exposure ever before doTERRA to the network marketing business was my family. My parents were actually involved very briefly with Amway when I was about 12 years old. But some great things came out of that brief exposure to it, because they started getting me. I was reading at 14 books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And when you start having that kind of education and these kind of people to teach you and their wisdom when you're that young, it really does set your mind up for a lot more success than you have if you sort of start looking at these things when you're, you know, 64 instead of 14. So I was very fortunate, and I had a great mentor in Vanessa's dad for many years. He was in the organisation that I worked with, the Australian Scholarships Group. He was the national marketing manager, so based on the East Coast, I was based here. But we spoke every day, and I met every Friday for an hour for 10 years. And he's probably the most well-read man I've ever come across in terms of all of these kinds of guys. He's in fact met so many of them, and personally sort of knew people like Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay and people like that. So Vanessa's had a really good grounding and a good start with that as well. But we were watching a video recently, and Tony Robbins was talking on it for about 15 minutes, and it was about this concept of the belief cycle. And I thought that's perfect for this day. It really is, because that's where it all begins for most of us, and it's the fundamental issue that we have for a lot of us is where our belief is at in what we're doing. Okay? That's kind of the line in the sand that I want to draw today and help you shift where your belief is at. Okay? And so this is what it looks like. And I want to get some feedback from you guys about some of the things. So Tracy, you're going to scribe for me. So if we can do like 4 lists down, and heading for each of them, starting with belief. So it says the amount of belief you have determines the amount of potential that you can tap into. Now, what kind of beliefs do we need to have in doTERRA? So,
Belief in the product.
Belief in the product, yeah. What else?
Company.
Yourself, yep. Company.
Opportunity. Others.
The opportunity. Belief in others, totally.
Belief that the outlay of the cost is going to reap reward later down the track.
So say that. So,
Time and cost? What's the time? Cost, outright?
yeah. That it's going to pay is what we're really saying, eventually.
That you can achieve it.
Yeah, achieve.
Yep. What else we got? Anything else?
Believe in your own why.
Belief in your own why? Yeah.
What's the opposite of the scarcity mentality?
Oh, lack mentality or prosperity mentality sort of
Yeah,
thing?
like there's always someone that hasn't experienced the life.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's the opportunity to share, isn't it, how big the market is. I love hearing when people start talking to me about, oh, it's saturated. Everyone thinks doTERRA, everyone knows about it. It's so, you know, that is totally a belief problem right there, because that is a scarcity mentality if ever I've heard one. Do you know that in Australia, 0.004% of the population is involved? 0.004%. In Western Australia, it's 0.01%. We have the largest foothold of the doTERRA market saturation in Australia, and we're at 0.01%.
0.01 or 001?
No, 0.01. So that's so we're doing better than the national average.
Someone gave me an amazing example because I used to struggle with this. Imagine a football oval.
Yep.
Like whatever, I'm from Victoria, so whatever yours is called here. Not even that many
It's
people.
the house of pain, we call it here.
Not even that many people that would fill that current role.
Oh, absolutely. Look, you know, there's 100,000 wellness advocates out of 25 odd million. You know, so you know it's 0.004%. It's a very, very small number compared to what the opportunity is out there, for sure. Okay.
Can I,
Anything else? Any other beliefs?
belief in your mentors.
Belief in your mentors, yeah,
And believe in your leaders.
and your leaders, yeah,
Yep.
and others. We've got others up there. What about belief in this business model?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you reckon that's a problem for some of you?
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. You know, and most of that is external to yourself. You believe because you're here. You've signed up to it. You're doing the work. You know, you believe in it. The problem is you're allowing other people's beliefs of it to affect your activity and how you see it and how you see yourself. So often we're not 100% in and committed to it because we're worried what everyone else thinks. Mish.
Believe that your work is success.
Oh,
that you're
yes.
worthy of it.
Yeah, believe that you're worth it. That's a big one, right?
Can I also put in there family belief?
That they believe in you, you mean? Or,
Yeah.
family believing in you.
You're also believing that your family
That in the company
is going to
system.
support you.
Yeah,
Like there's two points to that.
yeah, definitely.
Two sides to that coin.
Yeah.
But there's also the belief that you can do it without them if they don't support you.
Totally. Yeah. Look, if it is to be, it is up to me. Yeah, irrespective. I mean, yeah. Look, it's lovely that that when they are there to support, but it doesn't mean that you can't. You know, you are a sovereign being. You are an independent person that you can choose to take a path.
What about that lovely tall poppy syndrome?
Yes, we do love that, don't we?
So
Okay.
what believe in the tall poppy syndrome, or what do you want to write?
Oh, it's just it comes back to the self-belief, really.
And
So,
that also comes back to what you said, believing that you're worth it.
yeah, absolutely.
Believe it's okay to make more than your husband or your partner.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. I see people
Yeah.
get high up and they stop because they're going to be more successful than their husband or their partner.
And often the husbands and partners are actually afraid of it because they think if she makes more money than me, she doesn't need me anymore. Okay? Men think like that, I'll tell you now. A lot. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Let's keep it tight. Let's stay focused. So the next one here is potential. So the amount of potential you tap determines the amount of action you take. So where are the potentials for you in doTERRA as a business model for you? Where are the potentials?
Friends, family.
Yep, friends and family are a potential.
Complete strangers.
Anyone.
Strangers, that's right. 2 legs and a half feet.
Person you meet at the airport.
Yep.
Strangers, everyone.
Everyone needs it.
Yep. So and then outside of the product and enrolling people.
It's unlimited. It really is up to you, the potential.
Yep.
So it doesn't have a limit.
Unlimited in its nature. Yeah.
Social media.
Social media, definitely, that's a huge potential opportunity.
knowledge base that you believe. That's what you know. That's what I know.
Yeah.
And you have to face that.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting right to that. So you're one step ahead of the game there.
Knowledge base?
So knowledge base. Yeah. Yeah. See, that is a potential, but it's also an area where we can increase the potential, right? So this, what I'm getting to here is that there are areas that we know that there's potential for all of us, that we all share. Like we all share the same 24 hours in a day, but some people do different things with it, right? But there's also potentials for us to grow these areas.
So our education or our skill set.
Absolutely.
Self-development.
Yep.
Self-development, yeah.
It's also tapping into mentors and each other and what everyone can do, how we can learn from each other.
So collective IQ.
Yep.
Education and training.
Yep. Yep. And you know, it's an organisation where there is massive potential for you to avail yourself of that training and that that development. You know, even outside of what we may do at Food Alchemy, there is just such huge opportunity for you to learn and grow. As long as you've got an internet connection and a computer, you can do it because they just keep recommending flat out and pumping out great opportunities for growth. You know. What else we got? Anything else there?
Actually, I was just thinking about, for example, webinars. I mean, so many people here now doing webinars, and they're such a great way of giving value and increasing the potential because it's so immediate, so there.
So that'll fall into our next one. So actions. Okay. So after the amount of potential that you can tap in yourself and in the organisation and in the opportunity, that'll help determine the amount of action that you take. And the amount of action that you take then determines the results that you get. Okay, so I want to talk to you now a little bit about the actions we take. So what kind of actions are we taking as a result of our belief in all of the things that we listed on the left there? So belief in our product, belief in ourselves, and we're past belief in the product. We kind of believe that, so it's all right. We believe that works, right? So we don't have to spend time talking about that one. The company, the opportunity. And that's the old network marketing model of belief. That belief system of belief in your product, belief in your company, belief in the opportunity, right? Now, I haven't had exposure to all these network marketing businesses in the past, but I'll tell you what, I've had a really fast education in the last 2 or 3 years about all these other network marketing businesses and how they work and how their comp plans work and all this kind of stuff that I've got to get my head around because everyone comes to me and goes, Paul, what do you reckon about this one? The opportunity, others, outlay, your why, prosperity mentality. So these are all the things that we need to have a strong belief in, a real belief in that's unshakable. And we're going to talk about later today moving your beliefs from, yes, I believe in it, to it becoming something that's unshakable and irrefutable. Something inside of you that can't be taken. Something that you own and nobody can steal. Right? Because that's what's missing for some people who want to transform. You know, they believe that it's outside of themselves. We're going to get to where we jump onto this cycle in a minute. So actions, what actions can we take?
Get off your butt.
Talk to people.
Get off your butt.
Yes, it's opposed to looking at Facebook to see what you're doing. Okay.
Get off your butt, I love it. You know, when I was very young, one of my mentors, he used to work for many years at Titan Ford as a sales rep there, and they had this typing back when car salesmen actually wore tie-pins. And it said YCDVSOYA. And I said, what's that? And he goes, you can't do business sitting on your ass. Because they were always reminded, get out in the yard, you know, sit in the office here, go out there and meet people. You know, it's the same as what we do, right? So it's still a good message today.
Self-education.
Yep. Education. That's definitely one that you can take action on, right? Talk to people. It's funny how when you do that, people enroll. You know?
Yep. Share
But when we stay at home waiting for them to knock on our door and say, I just had a feeling that you might have some oil or something going on there. We don't get too many enrolments, right? What other actions can we take? Classes, right? Teach classes. Following up? Wow. Yeah. Planning? Yeah. Time management, definitely.
Do stuff outside the
Definitely, which is self-care. That's an action to take. That should be on the list for sure. Yeah, I think that's what you know what you mean. Like your family and things that fill you up, other than just doing that tour as a business. Yeah. So filling your cup anyway, whatever that might, whatever that might look like. Sorry.
Being accessible, like people send me messages at midnight about work.
Yeah.
I may not reply to them, but like I give them that option.
Yep. It's funny, at the start we make ourselves accessible 24 hours a day, and then once we get to a certain level of success, we've got to become the guardians of our time and try and snatch some of that back, because otherwise you are on the clock 24/7. So it is very interesting. The bigger your team gets, the more hours you can work, if you want to. Open-minded? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that one. I've always termed that, or put that in the speech of, allow people to say no for themselves. Don't do it for them. Yeah, they can. Yeah, that's that.
Something I remember you saying when I first started was to know your numbers. So
Yeah.
it's maybe not really the action itself of people, but to know your backup, know your numbers, and then you have a goal to support.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So
Monitoring your goals.
it's just, it's so true though, you know, I mean, it's the practicalities of the business do matter, and a lot of people go, oh, well, it's great that Vanessa's got someone like Paul who looks at all those sorts of things. She knows, man. She doesn't need me for that, really. Just because I do it doesn't mean she needs me to be the one. Because she's so intrinsically involved in the business, although she might not know the actual number, whereas I can remember, you know, our 54 elites under our 18 silvers under our 6 platinums. I can tell you what all their volumes are last night, now, because I look at it all the time. But her level of touch and closeness to everybody in this business is so good that she knows where everyone's at through the conversations and the communication she has. So although she might not jump on the back office and look, she's having the connections with them and asking them all the right questions. So she knows where the cherry's at anyway. She knows where you're at today, doesn't she, Escape? She knows how far it is to get to the goal we have, right? Okay. So, but it is so important to know those things. Mish?
I'm an accountability partner.
Yeah.
And also collaborate with either people in your team or other people outside of your
You
team.
can collaborate, that's totally. Yeah.
Also supporting your team and your
Support.
team.
Yeah. It's so critical that we find out, you know, in this action phase here, what it is that we don't know. Because we do know what we know. Who said that before? We know what we know, right? And we know as much as we know now. The challenge is that level of belief, that can be a bit of a barrier to us seeing what it is that we don't, right? So we think that we can just get where we want to get with what we've already got. I'll tell you now, that's not true. You can't. For a lot of us, the reason we end up stuck at where we are in something is because we think we can get to a new place somewhere we've never been without changing anything in ourselves. It's impossible. You know, it's more about what you become to get to there. It's, you know, that's one of the biggest rewards that you'll get out of it. Getting to your goal of gold or platinum or diamond or presidential diamond or whatever the goal is. Sure, the income's great and all those kind of things, but you know, the growth that you undertake and the new person you become and getting there is one of the biggest and most lasting gifts that you'll ever have, because the money may come and go, but they can't take what you've become inside. That new strength, that new belief in yourself, that can't be stolen unless you allow it. You can give it away, but it can't be taken.
So expand your...
True, right?
Yeah, very
Right?
true.
Yeah. You can give it away, you can give your power away like we do sometimes, but it can't be stolen. That's why you can get these guys like Mandela who can sit in the cage for, you know, for as long as he did, some 30 odd years, and they didn't steal who he was. They couldn't take that away because that was on the inside. It could only be stolen if he was allowing to give it away, and he refused. You know? So you can do the same for yourself.
How about expanding your comfort zone?
That's definitely an action you can take. It's something that we really need to do. You know, and one of the challenges I think for us is that we need to be prepared to step outside of that. That's the big issue. You know, we see people who want something new for themselves. They want a better life for themselves, for their family. They want more opportunities and those kind of things. But they want to stay in the safety zone while they go to it. But unfortunately, it's over there. It's not in the safety zone, because if it was there, you would already be experiencing it. You would already have it, right? So it's not like that. It's like at the post-convention when I was talking about it. This is the comfort zone. The growth zone is over here.
Yes.
You have to choose. Yeah, you have to be vulnerable, right? But the good part about it is if you give it a go and you step out of there and you go over to where the growth zone is, although it might be a little bit uncomfortable, it may even be a little painful, I promise you, you will not die.
But there is an oil for that.
You will not. Make sure you're compliant, Michelle, all right?
Or being afraid to fail, because that is often the reason why that doesn't happen. Did everyone see that Spanx video where she was talking about fear of failure and how much, it was a really powerful one, just how much effort it took for her to get that whole thing and how many fails she had.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
It's such an important thing for us to understand that, no one who's ever experienced any measure of success in anything will tell you that they succeeded their way there. They'll tell you that they failed their way to success. They'll all say that to a man and woman. Yeah.
I think everybody's trying to say this, but we need to, I'm not failing to say this, but use your oils, because you can't be out there promoting them.
That is a great action.
And that's an action you should be doing every day.
Yeah.
should go on top of the list, I think.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking we're missing that.
Nurturing Peter. And old relationships.
Yeah, nurturing new and old relationships. So that's important. That's like that's warming up your list, right? And you might not be talking to them directly about doTERRA. In fact, this was a concept that sort of happened on a little bit during the week at our home. We had a training on for some people, and it occurred to me that like those beds that you can buy that have all the electrical controls, and they say, "What's your sleep number?" Because you can make it harder and softer and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever seen that advertising to that? What's your sleep number? Well, it occurred to me that everybody out there that we have yet to enrol has a touch number. And we have to touch them a certain amount of time before they're ready for an invite to a class or a one-on-one. And we don't necessarily have to touch them with the oils. We just got to touch them with our relationship, with our warmth, with our gifts of us. And then you know intrinsically, because you do know, right, when the time is right to open that conversation up about doTERRA with someone, you just feel the vibe is right, don't you? And you also know when you know it wasn't there, but you had the conversation anyway out of desperation, and you got the result it deserved because it was a no, it was a shutdown, right? So it occurs to me that maybe we have this thing called a touch number. Everyone's got it. For some people, it'll be one because they're very close to you. The relationship's really strong, it's super warm, and I just invite you, and you go, yeah, absolutely, I'll come, sure. But then for you, it might be, I've got to sort of reconnect and touch you 20, 30 times over the next 6 months before we go. Now's the time for me to raise the doTERRA part of the conversation and talk to her about that, because she's just said to me that she's suffering, and I really feel now's the time for me to offer this up. So a new concept for us to consider, but something that I want to. The touch number. Yeah. Yeah.
Shift your paradigm.
Yeah.
Because our beliefs are not our beliefs, they're actually our ancestors.
C-A-R-A-D.
So when you can change that and do something to change that,
Yep.
you don't have to start. If that's what you said in the book, you actually said it'll be.
Yep.
And also lead.
Lead. Yeah, we can lead. Absolutely.
And reach out to doing stuff.
Well, that's what this whole business model really is, a paradigm shift. It really is. And we've had a number of them over time. From the Industrial Revolution, that was a paradigm shift away from the barter system, to let's go to a place where we have guaranteed employment. They'll get a certain amount for a certain amount of hours. We know we're going to get something out of today. It's not like, well, hopefully I take a risk on growing a crop, or I go down to my blacksmith sort of shed, and hopefully someone needs some shoes today, and they'll be able to give me some wheat at the end of it, or whatever it is. So there's been these paradigm shifts. We had it with the internet age, didn't we? That's another paradigm shift in how we do business, how life looks. And this is just another one that's taking some time to get a foothold. But some of the most successful companies that use this business model have been going for 70 years, and we're still having trouble, some of us, catching on to it. Yeah.
Well, Paul actually had something on the radio today about the paradigm shift in job hunting. How part-time work or multiple jobs is the new norm.
Yeah, and working from home, right? Is these things,
Yes,
the people, even that work for companies now, it's like, yeah, but do it at home.
Yes.
And the companies are going, well, that's saving us millions a year in rental space, and all those kind of things. Mish?
When you get to the point where you can afford it, hire help, buy a cleaner, get someone that can help you make graphics. Like, give yourself that permission to have help and you pay for it.
Yeah, the Goddard's call this hire it out. So it's American kind of terminology, but I love it, but sometimes it's hard, right? Because you've done these things yourself for so long. Like, I've been on at Vanessa since we moved down to Fremantle. Get a cleaner, babe. Get a cleaner. And we both do stuff in the house, and the kids vacuum, and I help in the kitchen and do washing or whatever it is. And I go, let's just get someone to take care of this shit. But, you know, she's a good...
I've got a name for you, Paul. I'll sort you out.
Please, just give it to me, all right? You know what? I'll sort that. I actually said to her about 2 weeks ago, I said, you know, we've got this Facebook page where there's like 14,000 people on it that we know, or at least that they know us. She goes, yeah. I said, can't you just put on there, does anyone know a cleaner in the Frio area? See what happens. Well, I'm sure that you'll be able to bring them around to your way of thinking.
I've just put it out there though, for one, but I've got limits. They can't clean my toilet, they can't clean my bathroom, they just have to do my folding.
Oh man, that's the first place I want to send them.
I want that, no socking germs over in that area.
No small germs. Awesome.
Things like the washing and the folding and all that.
Yeah, but it's right. You know, like there comes a time. One thing I will say about hiring it out is I see people wanting to do that too soon, too early. I see that when they're silver and gold, they think, oh, I can get this now. And people at gold and platinum are saying, I need a PA now and things like that. You're buying yourself a load of expense you don't really need. What it tells me is you're probably not tapping into the stuff that your upline's already doing and using that and yoking that strength, you know, because your uplines are a resource for your business, not the other way around. Know that, right? You know, they may choose to engage at different levels with you, but they're as a resource for your business. It's not that you're a resource in their business. Okay? That's the way we tend to look at it anyway. So, yeah.
Another action I find really powerful for me is carry samples everywhere.
Yeah.
I find it quite
Did you come to that Kelly King Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Was that not a great exercise? Tracy did the exercise. It was so powerful, you know. She had a couple of slides there, and it was just a slide of your handbag, basically, and said, you know, who is share ready? You know, and you'd be surprised how many people who do this as a business who don't carry oils on them when they go out.
But we've got some really good things, but I have to change the whole slide because we get some really good results.
Yeah. Even I go out and I've got it's on the table over there, my little black man purse full of oils. If I go outside, wallet, phone, keys, sunglasses, oils. That's it. So I just know, tick it off the list. If I've got them, I'm good to go. You know?
You need a man bag for that.
A man bag? I have a man bag. In fact, that Cherokee given them to me as well. I got loads of them. Give them to my dad. He loves them. my dad, he uses a man bag now. He loves it. Puts his iPad in there and goes and sits at the coffee shop for 6 hours. Reads the newspaper. Yep. Okay, so this cycle, moving on to the end here. So then the results you get determine your belief in yourself. Okay. Now here is the rub. Most of us jump onto this cycle and start this cycle, guess where? Here. That's the mistake. Because what happens is when we jump on the cycle of the results phase, we become what is called results driven. So if you're getting great results, it's awesome because you're up, you know, and you keep getting great results. So then if you let your results determine your beliefs, if the results are great, your belief about it's going to be great, right? If your results of enrolling and inviting and doing classes are always good, then your belief in your ability to execute in doing classes and inviting and those kind of things is going to be reinforced and it will grow stronger and stronger. That's one side of the equation. What if you don't get great results? What if you haven't had the experience? What if you don't know what you're doing really yet? What if you don't know what you don't know? Yeah? The problem there is that you then spiral down, okay? Because what happens is you're allowing your results to determine your belief level in yourself. So if the results are poor, you'll start to believe in yourself more poorly. You'll believe in the opportunity more poorly. You'll start to believe that this business model doesn't really work. Okay, it works for them over there, and then you start justifying why it works for them over there by saying things like, they got in at the right time. They were one of the early ones, which is why they've made so much money doing this. You know, or the market is saturated. That's one of my favourites. I love that. But we hear these things, right? And they are only ever coming out of the mouths of people whose belief in themselves, the product, the opportunity, the business model, and all those things that are on the left column there are very, very low level, low vibration. Okay? So one of the things that I would love you to consider today is drawing the line in the sand for yourself about starting the cycle here. Okay? Now there are things we can do to reinforce this starting here. They don't have to be results-based. Education is a good place to start here. Being here today is a good place to reinforce your belief, is it not? Mm-hmm. Right? You made a good choice. People who didn't come, 15 who didn't come because it was free, made a bad choice.
Because they didn't prioritise it.
That's right, which is where the time management and stuff came from before, right? Okay, so these are key concepts. But that's how you can reinforce your belief. Spend time. All of the answers that you need to do to reinforce your belief, you guys gave them to me. I didn't give them to you. You have them inside already. But look at all the stuff in those first few columns there, and it's things like organising your time, getting mentoring, right? Serving others, helping other people. Using the oils every day was one that Peter just said. Okay, these are things that reinforce our belief in the product, the company, our opportunity in this, the business model as well. Because if you go and spend time, we had some time together this week, right? Do you not go away from that thinking the opportunity for me here is still huge?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? So you rub shoulders with other people who are experiencing success with the business model, and they give you a few more ideas about the business model and how to execute. Do you not go away thinking, I've got some stuff to do here? But you feel good about it, right? Okay? So that's something you can do to reinforce your belief level. Get next to the people that are doing it well. However that looks, right? And you're always going to come across naysayers, even in your own teams. Sometimes, dare I say it, even in your own uplines, you're going to come across the naysayers and say, well, that doesn't work. Don't do what they do over there because that doesn't work. But you know in your heart of hearts that, well, look at the results. It must work. They're doing something right. I could learn something over there. Okay, maybe they're not perfect, but I could go and learn something. I think it's a case that we've got to follow our own heart and listen to our own heart when it comes to our own education and reinforcing our own belief level. Because it's very easy to be swept along by other people's perceptions of what's good and what's not good for you. The bit that annoys me about that is that they're deciding. And the bit that's even more disempowering than that is that you're allowing it. You let it happen. Right? That's the worst part. You let it happen. So you've got to draw that line in the sand for yourself. You've got to burn the ships and you say, you know what, I'm going to decide what's good for me. I'm going to decide, does it feel right? When we teach our placement strategies and those kind of things at other events around the country, and other teams are invited to our events always, so many people come up to us afterwards and go, I feel, they don't say, I think you've got a good strategy. They come and say, I feel like that's what's been missing in the way I do this business. I feel like that really sings to me. You kind of got me today, and I understand placements in a totally different way now because I feel like that's something I can believe in. Yeah? So it's a powerful thing for you to be able to spend your time out there getting close to people who are doing it. Follow your own beliefs as to whether or not it's right and good for you. Don't let other people tell you what's good for you. Yeah? You make those choices for yourself. So we've got to start our cycle. We've got to get on the train there. Okay. So what that gives us if we start at the belief, it all starts in your mind. Practicing something isn't enough, it talks about as well. So it doesn't have to be just doing the same things over and over and over again, because that's okay if you're getting great results straight off the cuff. But if you're not, just practicing it without becoming more educated about it, without going and meeting these other people and rubbing shoulders with them, isn't going to change things for you. Okay? But this is the one that we want to have. You want to get to the point where you have absolute certainty in your mind. That's when you are not riding two horses with one backside. Right? That is when you are totally in this camp now and you understand. It doesn't mean that you quit your job this week, okay? So I do hear people say things that we say at training and then come back to us next, 3 months later and say, yeah, but Paul said such and such at training, right? Now, saying that I want you to be totally focused and be all in and have certainty in your mind, that's not the same as, or riding, one horse at a time instead of two. That doesn't mean I've given the advice that you quit your job tomorrow. All right? But what you can do, why not did you say? What you can do is do what I did. and make a staged retreat from what you're doing. And then, you know, your time in one goes like that, and the time in the other one goes like that. Okay? So you can do it intelligently, but my mind, I knew where I was going. You know, it took a year, but I knew where I wanted to be. And I was absolutely certain that it was my path.
Well, I like the concept, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, of creating a vacuum so that, you know, you hear that the universe hates a vacuum, so to create some space, stuff comes in.
Yeah.
So it's like I used to have a bookshelf that was a small room, a small cupboard, and I thought, well, I want more books. So I moved it into an area where there was a lot more space to put more books. And sure enough, the books just seem to come out here, there, and everywhere. So you make the space for your business to grow. It has to, because there will just have to be some influx of information.
Yeah, I believe 100% in that. It was one of my early bits of education, in my probably early 20s, where I was taught that the universe abhors a vacuum. So it will not allow it to be unfilled. Okay? So what you have to do is be mindful of your intention as to what you want to fill it with, because it will get it filled with something. Okay? So if you create a vacuum, then it's like that concept of if you build it, they will come, right? Same with classes. I keep talking to hear people, oh, I haven't got enough classes on. When's your next one booked? I don't have it. Oh. That's why no one's coming to the classes, because there aren't any classes. So, you know, funny that, right? That's what people, we do. We set these things in motion, and we do these sort of, you know, low level of consciousness ways to self-sabotage ourselves. But we do it out of self-preservation. We do it to protect ourselves, because at least if I don't put myself in a position where I've gone full out and I've really, really done everything that should be done to make this possible, at least if I don't do that, although I haven't got any success, I haven't failed. Right? But that's the mentality that we're stuck in sometimes. And you're much better off to go for it. Give it everything you can. And even if you did fail at it, you will not die. You will learn something about yourself. I've failed in life, it's big time. But you learn each time you do it. So let's just do a quick exercise. How are we going for time, Trace? We're over. Good. We're up and finished. Let's not do this exercise. There's one that you want to do, so you can maybe even just take a photo and take some notes of this one. But you really need to do is start thinking about the sights, sounds, feelings. What will it hear? You sound like? What will you hear? What will it feel like when you start reaching these things and experiencing this life that you want to live? This I was meant for something better concept that we all put our hand up to, but very few kept their hand up when they said, I'm living it. And this is what I talked about before, being stuck on the process rather than the goal. This is the last slide that you want to get this one. Process driven is really, really important rather than results driven. Okay, it's the opposite of what we just talked about being results driven. Process driven is the opposite. What it allows you to do is refine and become very, very good at the things that you need to do and the person that you need to be to become successful in this business and in life. And if you do that, what happens is you don't experience the ups and downs and the emotional roller coaster. So my previous business with the Australian Scholarships Group for 15 years that I had, which is where I had a lot of the skill sets that I employ in this business, came from, was one-on-one mentoring with a group of about 30 people over a period of 15 years. Some came, some replacement of staff and that kind of stuff, but always about 30 at any one time. And it occurred to me after about 5 years of doing this, it took me that long, so it's a bit slow to get this one. But I watched people, sort of riding the emotional roller coaster up when they'd had a good month, and that just flowed into the next month and they'd have another good month. But if they had a bad month, they didn't make the figures they needed to make or whatever, then they were down here again. And I just watched these people like this, month in, year out. And it occurred to me that the ones that are experiencing that, and these are the people who had some success, sometimes, but not ultimate success. Then I had other people in my business that were just like this, all fun. And then I had only a couple, a rare few, over the whole 15 years that were just like this. And there was no end in sight to how much they could achieve. And it was like that till the end. When I sold the business, they were still there, still outperforming last month and last year. that's how it was. But the ones that were like this and the ones that were like this were process driven. They never ever allowed the results of today or yesterday to determine their tomorrow. Not even one time. They just didn't fall into the trap. They just knew that if they stuck with the process. Even the ones that were being super successful, they still came into the office and did their 2 hours of calling each day to make their appointments for the week and plan out their next week's activity and plan out next month's trips out into the country or whatever, which is like, our diamond club, I guess, those kind of things. They did all this sort of stuff. So the ones that had ultimate success are totally process driven, which is why we put so much effort into our training and teaching people how to invite well, how to teach a class well, how to enroll well at the end, know a natural conclusion, have one that you know, that you can believe in, that you can practice and execute and become very, very good at. And these are the kind of things that you can do to become process driven. Okay, look at what process works. There are a number of them in doTERRA. There's no cookie cutter way to succeed in it. And if a way that sings to you and to your heart is not our way, but it works for you, do that. Okay, that works for me. I'm totally happy. I'd much rather see people succeeding and being empowered and having that unshakable belief in themselves than to just be doubting themselves every day and continuing to wonder, is there something better in life for me? Or is this it? Right? Like that Jack Nicholson movie, what if this is as good as it gets? What if that is? I mean, what a poor way to look at your life. But I don't want to think like that. I want to inspire change. I want people to feel like no matter how much time they have left, whether you're 25 or 55, that you have, laughing, right? 56, sorry. Okay. But you've got plenty of time. You really can, if you want it bad enough. But it all hinges on that unshakable belief. So that's what we need to work with. So I'm off. Vanessa's up. Thank you for your time this morning.